Praise Ahia, Bahashim Yeshaya. I'm Brother DeWeed. This is Brother Yada.
Good morning, Shalom.
Shalom to Israel. Shabbat Shalom. Today we're going to be talking about David's children. So that's the subject matter. We're dealing with David's children, so David's descendants. I think it's necessary, the time that we're living in, for us to understand the people that we're dealing with, that we're waking up to, we Israel, and we're waking up that we Judah and different tribes and so forth. But right now I'm speaking to Judah specifically. But we also waking up to the fact that we know that there's a lot of descendants coming from David. And it's important to understand that. I don't think that people know the significance of how important that is. You know, and you may have heard me say this before, but David never lost a battle. That's one thing. That's very, very important to know, that he's never lost a battle. So that should give you courage alone. Not to mention how he was always in meditational prayer. He was always praising. He was always doing things that related to what highest will. You know, he was always trying to keep a highest will, you know, and that's important. So, you know, I think it's important for us to understand as descendants that we need to look at some of the characters of his sons, because his sons, you'll be able to see pretty much who you are as well, you know, even through his sons, because as we're going to study and as we're going to see, all of his sons didn't think alike. They all thought differently, you know, and this is one of the reasons I believe that some of the camps and some of the other churches and so forth are not getting along, because of the fact that there's so many different personalities. So there's personality clashes, and it's a lot of cliques and stuff like that, and a lot of people fighting for position, because the Bible talks about what David did and what happened with David and why the sword would never depart from his house. This is very, very important, because, you know, we've been reading about these things, you know, in church and all these different things, but now we have an understanding now that we are the Hebrew Israelites. So therefore we need to really realize that these character deficits and different things that we're dealing with, we need to really understand what we're working with and who we're working with, you know, and why we're not working together and so forth, you know. And we need to recognize these people. And when you see these things, you say, oh, okay, Adonijah, that's who I'm dealing with. Okay, Solomon, I see that. He was cool at first, but then he went off into all this other stuff about high is not the name and all these different things. So, you know, we got to understand who we're dealing with, you know, in these last days, you know. And if these characters, we're the same people. Same people. And you want to know what's funny about it? And it's not really funny, but what they would call ironic, but we know nothing's ironic with the Most High. What's so amazing about it is that even though we think that these things are happening by chance or whatever, they're not happening by chance. We also know that whatever spiritual thing that these people were dealing with, guess what? We're dealing with the same spiritual entities, the same demons that dealt with Solomon, the same demons that dealt with Adonijah, the same demons that dealt with Absalom, the same demons that dealt with Amnon. You know, I mean, these are what we're dealing with. We're dealing with these different things. So we have to really understand what's going on here, because it's important for us to dig deep into this word and eat as much as we can and get an understanding of what the Most High is trying to bring out here. He's trying to teach us who we are. And all we have to do is look at our forefathers. You know, now I'm speaking to David's children right now. You know, I'm not speaking to any other particular Benjaminites or Reubenites or Manasseh, so forth. I'm talking about David's children right now, because Judah has to stand up. So we understand that. We understand that, you know, it was said that Judah would be praised by his brothers. So we have to get an understanding of what's going on so we can work together and try to figure out how to deal with this monster, you know. So let's get into the word. We're going to start with First Chronicles, the 3rd chapter. But hold on, slow it down for a second before we read it. I just want to say that you're going to see my eyes glance down from time to time at the word, because I'm going to be reading the word. So you may see me. I'm going to go to another screen, and I don't know how it's going to look, but I just want to let you guys know what's going on, so you won't be wondering why I'm looking like that. So, so we're going to go with First Chronicles, the 3rd chapter, the 1st verse, and let's talk. Let's see what's going on here. Go ahead.
Now these were the sons of David, which were born unto him in Hebron. The firstborn Amnon of Ahinoam.
Stop. So the firstborn was Amnon. That's very important, because we're going to see what happens with him as we go along. Go ahead.
And of the Jezreelites, the second Daniel of Abigail of the Carmelites. The third Absalom, the son of Mashah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. The fourth Adonijah, the son of Haggith. The fifth Shephatiah of Abital. The sixth Ephraim by Eglah his wife. These 6 were born unto him in Hebron. And there he ran 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem he ran 33 years.
So right there we see that David, we see some of his children right there. So they're letting you know that 6 of them was born right there in Hebron. Okay, go ahead. These are the older ones. Go ahead.
And these were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shemiah of Shobab, and Nathan of Solomon. 4. And Bashua, the daughter of Amiel, Ibhar also, and Elishama, and Elipelet, and Noga, and Nepheg, and Japhiah, and Elishama, and Eliada, and Elipeth. 9.
Okay, so you got 9 children there. Okay, go ahead.
These were all sons of David, besides the son of his concubines.
Stop. Besides the sons of his concubines. Now, we talking about a lot of sons right now. It's not even giving you a number on his concubines. We knew he had a lot of concubines. So get this word now, because we're going to understand something here. All this is in there for a reason. It's showing you that he had a lot of descendants. And it's through men. We know that through men is how we, get the line. Our genealogy is through the men. I know that the Israelis, they teach something totally different, but we know we don't even believe in that doctrine with the Talmud and all that. We don't even believe in all that. So we know that it comes from the men, because numbers tell us that it comes from the men. He said he numbered them according to their pedigree through the father. So go ahead. And Tamar, his sister.
Okay, and Tamar, their sister.
Okay, that's their sister. Okay, that's one sister. Now, keep in mind, because David he don't have just boys. He got a few girls too. So this is important. It's important to understand that too. So y'all sisters are not excluded from this. But I'm trying to point something out to the men right now. But your sisters are not excluded at all. But it's very important that we understand that he has daughters too. Okay, go ahead.
Solomon's son was Rehoboam. Abiah his son, Asa his son, Jehoshaphat his son, Joram his son, Ahaziah his son, Joash his son, Amaziah his son, Azariah his son, Jotham his son, Ahaz his son, Ezekiel his son, Manasseh his son, Ammon his son, Josiah his son. And the sons of Josiah were the firstborn of Johanan, the second Jehoiakim, the third Zedekiah, the fourth Shalom.
Okay.
And the sons of Jehoiakim, Jeconiah his son, Zedekiah his son.
Now this is the royal line. Now he's talking about the royal line that was after the exile. Okay, so it's important to understand that he's talking about Solomon's children and so forth, but now he's going down a different line, with the same line, but he's going down the line and dealing with the children that's in exile. Go ahead.
Verse 18.
After the exile.
Malsharim also, and Pedaiah, and Shenazar, Jechamiah, Hoshamiam, and Nadabiam, and his sons of Pedaiah were Zerubbabel and Shemi, and the sons of Zerubbabel, Meshullam and Hananiah, and Shalomi their sister.
Once again, there's one of the sisters. Go ahead.
And Hashubah and Ohel and Bereshia and Hasadiah, Jeshiah Jeshabasheth, 5. And the sons of Hananiah,
Yeah.
Pelatiah, and Jeshiah. The sons of Raphiah, the sons of Arnan, the sons of Obadiah, the sons of Shechaniah, and the sons of Shechaniah, Shemaiah, the sons of Shemaiah, Hattush, and Egiel, and Bariah, and Neriah, and Shaphat, 6.
6 and all. Okay, stop right there. I just want to say that, if you look up these names, they all have different meanings to them. Of course they do. So, it's important to understand that when someone is named, it's a reason why they're being named, what they're being named, and they're going to pretty much show their character of whatever they're named. Like my name is Dawid Elhanan, and believe me, I'm a giant slayer. That's what I do. But anyway, at the and I know that this is what the Most High gave me. The names that He gave me, it fits my character, is what I'm saying. Go ahead.
And the sons of Neriah, Elinoah, and Hezekiah, and Azrikam, 3. And the sons of Olina were Hodiah, Eliashib, and Peliah, and Akub, and Johanna, and Deliah, and Anan, 7.
7 in all. So, okay. So, stop right there for a second. Okay. Okay. So, we see at this point that that they're showing that like it's a lot of children. So when I was praying to the Most High and He was giving me this revelation, He was showing me that that He had a lot of children, of course, and it shows that He kept having men. So you think the Most High stopped that? No, He allowed that to keep going. He allowed that to keep going. So when we fled into Africa in 70 A.D., a lot of those children was David's children that was coming from the tribe of Judah. So it's a good, we have to understand that he had a big family, So like I said, this is some of the reasons why we're not gelling like we're supposed to. We're gonna get into it in a minute. Right now, let's go to 2 Samuel, the 7th chapter, in the 11th verse. Yeah, we're gonna show the character of David.
20.
No, 2 Samuel 7 and 11. Start there. Hold on. Yeah. Just a little further up from here. Oh, there we go. Right there. Yep.
And have done ever since the time I appointed the leaders over my people of Israel. I will also give you rest from all of your enemies. The Lord declares to you that the Lord Himself will establish a house for you.
Okay, stop right there. So this is Nathan the prophet talking to David. Go ahead.
I will also give you rest from all of your enemies. The Lord declares that the Lord Himself, will establish a house for you. When your days are over and you rest with your fathers, I will raise up your offspring to succeed you, who will come to your own body, and I will establish His kingdom.
Stop right there. Okay, so a lot of people think it stopped because when Christ came, it stopped. But just like the laws didn't stop, this right here didn't stop either. So, He was going to raise up His offerings, and he said that who will come from your own body. In other words, this is not going to be nothing supernatural. This is going to be straight through you, your seed, and I will establish His kingdom. So this is one reason why Judah is so dominant in the world. Basketball, football, whatever we get involved in, because we're leaders naturally. We're kings. No matter what we get involved in, we're kings. Even the corporation that I used to help run, and we was generating $500 million a year. It takes kings to run that kind of stuff. It takes kings that can think like that and can make things happen and shake and move like that. So I know that this is why we're so dominant in everything we do. Everything we get involved in, we take it over, because that's the kind of people we are. Go ahead.
He is the one who will build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of His kingdom forever.
For what?
Forever.
Okay. So what he's saying here is that it's going to always be that line is going to always be there, and it's going to always be a kingdom forever with that particular line. Go ahead.
I will be His father, and he will be my son. When he does wrong, I will punish him with the rod of men.
Okay, stop right there. So a lot of people that would have thought that was talking about Christ. Even though it may have included Christ, it wasn't talking about Christ, because it's talking about a punishment if he does wrong. We know Christ didn't do anything wrong. Go ahead.
I will punish him with the rod of man, with floggings inflicted by man.
Okay.
But my love will never be taken away from him, as I took it away from Saul, whom I removed from before you. Your house and your kingdom will endure forever before me. Your throne will be established forever.
Yeah, 17, go ahead.
Nathan reported to David all his words of this entire revelation.
Okay. So, as long as David was doing right, Ahiah was going to be with him. We see that here. So, in 2 Samuel 8 and 13, we're gonna get 2 Samuel 8 and 13 on down to 14 and then stop. Okay. We said that David is getting it in with Edom at the time. Go ahead.
And David became famous after he returned from striking down 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. He put garrisons throughout Edom, and all of his Edomites became subject to David. The Lord gave David victory wherever he went.
That's right. And it's the same thing today. You know, that's why we have small victories. Even though we had the curses on us, we see that we have small victories. You know, we can get involved in certain things, and certain people can get involved in certain things. And then, like, for instance, the young man, the gentleman that I worked for when we were generating the 500 million. This man was a multi-millionaire. You know, he was a brother. You know, and I believe he was from the tribe of Judah. You know, you can see it. You can see his Judah. You know, his leadership abilities and so forth. And these are some of the things we have. And it's good to point these things out because a lot of brothers are not pointing this particular thing out. And it's important for Judah to wake up to this because they need to understand the power that's behind them. They need to understand that the Most High have ordained this to be. And this is one of the reasons why we're so, some of us are so powerful in some ways, you know, because the Most High has made us that way. Go ahead. So in this particular thing, this is what really made David famous as well. The fact that he slew all these Edomites at the time. And if you remember the text, they was always afraid of the Edomites, you know. But he slew 18,000. I had to bring that out. 18,000 Edomites. You know, this is what they did. So, you know, and him and his captains and so forth. So we need to understand this and get this understanding. Go ahead with the 15, though.
David reigned over all Israel, doing what was just and right for all his people.
So we see here that David just went through the battle with Edom once again. And then after that, let's see what happens with David. Let's go to David and Bathsheba. So let's go to that first chapter. Go ahead.
In the spring, at the time when kings go off to war, David sent Joab out of the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah, but David remained in Jerusalem.
Okay, go ahead.
One evening, David got up from his bed and walked around on the roof of his palace. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful, and David sent someone out to find her. When the man said, "Isn't this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, and the wife of Uriel the Hittite?" Right. Then David sent messengers to get her. She came to him and slept with her, and he slept with her. She had purified herself from her uncleanness.
Okay, stop right there. So now we see that David is getting a little beside himself, you know, and we can see how that can happen, you know, when you just slay 18,000 Edomites. But for the most part, you know, he's getting a little beside, just like we do today. We get a little bit beside ourselves, you know, we're leading and we're doing good, and the Most High is with us, and the High is just moving in us. And then next thing you know, we get off balance because of something that may have came our way or whatever, and that we say, okay, well, you know, and we veer off a little bit, you know. So this is what David is doing. He's veering off. He's seeing somebody else's wife. He already know the laws. He's the king. He knows the laws. He's been raised up in this. He know what this is. But instead, he wants to take this brother's wife, one of his captains, on top of that. Go ahead.
Then she went back home. The woman conceived and sent word to David, saying, "I am pregnant." So David sent this word to Joab, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." And Joab sent him to David. When Uriah came to him, David asked him how Joab was, how the soldiers were, and how the war was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." So Uriah left the palace, and a gift from the kings was sent after him.
Okay, so David is telling him to go to your house. You know, he hoping that Uriah is going to lay down with his wife Bathsheba, so then he can conceal this sin that he's done. We always try to conceal things, you know, when things are happening and things are going good and the High is with us, and then we do something, we veer off and do something crazy, then we try to conceal it as if High can't see it no more, or that people are not going to see it yet. But you know what? What's in the dark always come to the light, though. You know, and the High is going to put some light on this. Go ahead.
Then David said to Uriah, "Go down and wash your feet." So Uriah left the palace, and the gift from the king was sent after him. But Uriah slept at the entrance of the palace with all his master's servants, and did not go down to his house. When David was told,
so Uriah, so Uriah is being he being loyal. He looking at this like, no, I should be at war. I shouldn't, why am I, why do I get the luxuries of this? I need to be at war doing what I'm supposed to be doing, because he's focused. He know that he's supposed to be one with the person that's leading, and David is leading. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, is when you have a leader that's in the capacity of leading, you're supposed to be one vision with him. That's why my name is Dawid Ilhanan. That's two different people. But guess what? They had the same vision. If you look up Ilhanan and you see what he was doing, this is why scholars begin to think that sometimes Ilhanan is David, because he knows how to move just like David. And the reason why he knows how to move like David, because David's spirit is going one way, and instead of Uriah in this case veering off to the left, he's going the same direction David is going. And this is how Ilhanan was. He went the same direction David was going. That's why scholars thought that it was David, because he moved like him. And when you have a visionary, a person that can that can see things and they have a certain vision for stuff, the people that's following that person should be able to grab hold to that vision. And if they can't grab hold to that vision, then they're not good followers. Because whatever that vision is that you're getting from a higher, they need to be following that same vision. Go ahead.
When David was told Uriah did not go home, he asked him, haven't you just come from a distance? Why didn't you go home? Uriah said to David, the ark in Israel and Judah are staying in tents, and my master Joab and my lord's men are camped in the open fields. How could I go home to my house and eat and drink and lie with my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing. Then David said to him, stay here one more day, and tomorrow I will send you back. So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next.
So we're looking at Uriah here. He's saying, I can't go out there and do this. I need to be fighting and so forth. So this, you see the loyalty of Uriah. Go ahead. Go ahead. This had to make a higher mad, because this person is loyal. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. But go ahead. We're going to see how mad Ahiah got behind this. Go ahead.
At David's invitation, he ate and drank with him.
Right.
And David made him drunk. But in the evening, Uriah went to sleep on his mat among his master's servants. He did not go home.
Okay.
In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it to Uriah. In it, he wrote, put Uriah in front line where the fighting is fiercest. Then withdraw him from him, so he will be struck down and die.
Wow. So he's writing him a letter, Joab, because that's his partner. Okay, so we see right here David is clicking. It's no longer the way he was thinking before. Now this sin has took him to a greater sin. Now he's saying, let me go ahead and put this person out on the front line, because I know he will never make it on that front line like that. Because he knew exactly where everybody was, and he knew how to place people strategically in battle in order to get things done. So David was a master strategist. A master strategist. And that's what we are today. We're master strategists, those that know, and then you have your Uriahs, and then you have your Adonijah, you have your different people, and you have to, so this is what I'm reflecting on today. I'm reflecting that, if you look through this word and you eat it up right, you'll be able to see this in people's character, and you will know exactly who you're dealing with. Go ahead.
So while Joab had the city under siege, he put Uriah at a place where he knew the strongest defenders was. When the men of the city came out and fought against Joab, some of the men were in David's army fell. Moreover, Uriah the Hittite died.
So Uriah gone. So everything he anticipated, because he's a master strategist now, everything he anticipated, it actually happened. Go ahead.
Joab sent David a full account of the battle. He instructed the messenger, when you have finished giving the king this account of the battle, the king's anger may flare up, and he may ask you, why did you get so close to the city to fight? Didn't you know they would shoot arrows from the wall?
Go ahead.
Who killed Abimelech, son of Jerub-Besheth? Didn't a woman throw an upper milestone on him from the wall so that he died in Thebez? Why did you get so close to the wall? If he asks you this, then say to him, also your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead.
Okay. Go ahead.
The messenger set out, and when he arrived to David, everything Joab had sent him to say, the messenger said to David, the men overpowered us and came out against us in the open, but we drove them back to the entrance to the city gate. Then the archers shot arrows at your servants from the wall, and some of the king's men died. Moreover, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead.
Okay. Now listen to this prophecy from David. Go ahead. What did David tell the messengers?
David told the messenger, "Say this to Joab: Don't let this upset you. The sword devours one as well as another. Press the attack against the city and destroy it. Say this to encourage Joab."
Stop right there. This is a prophetic thing. So David is telling the messenger, say this to Joab: don't let this upset you. The sword devours one as well as another. I wonder, does that mean in his house as well? So he's talking prophetically because, the Most High said, okay, go ahead, keep talking, do what you're going to do, and I'm going to use that since you're talking that, So we're going to see what the Most High do in his family because of this. Go ahead.
When Uriah's wife heard that her husband was dead, she mourned for him.
Okay.
After the time of mourning was over, David had brought her to his house, and she became his wife and born him a son. But the thing David had done displeased the Lord.
It displeased the high? Is that what it did?
Displeased the Lord.
Go ahead.
Okay. The Lord sent Nathan to David.
Let's see Ahiah's judgment on this particular act. Let's see what happens now. Nathan the prophet is talking to David. Go ahead.
The Lord sent Nathan to David. When he came to him, he said, "There were two men in a certain town, one rich and the other poor."
So he's giving them an analogy about something. Go ahead.
The rich man had a very large number of sheep and cattle, but the poor man had nothing except one little ewe lamb he had brought. He raised it, and it grew up with him and his children. It shared his food, drank from his cup, and even slept in his arm. It was like a daughter to him.
Okay.
Now a traveler came to the rich man, but the rich man refrained from taking one of his own sheep or cattle to prepare a meal for the traveler who had came to him. Instead, he took the ewe lamb that belonged to the poor man and prepared it for the one who had come to him.
Okay, so before he can even get it all out, what David do?
David burnt with anger against the man and said to Nathan, "As surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this deserves to die."
So immediately he ended up speaking his own fate. So Ahiah is using this. Go ahead. He's showing him an analogy about himself, and look how quick he was willing to judge. Go ahead.
He must pay for that lamb 4 times over because he did such a thing and had no pity. Then Nathan said to David, "You are the man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I have anointed you king. I anointed you king over Israel, and I deliver you from the hand of Saul. I gave your master's house to you."
Praise Ahiah. I just want to say something right there. David went through a whole lot with Saul. We know that. We know what happened beforehand, before he was pronounced king over Israel. He was actually anointed 3 different times, but he didn't walk into that anointing until he got to the place where he was actually made king, and that's when he started walking in the fruition of things. So now the Lord, Ahiah, is bringing things back to him to remember him. I anointed you king over Israel, which is a big thing, and I delivered you from the hand of Saul. Go ahead. Got to remind him. Go ahead.
Why did you despise the word of the Lord by doing what is evil in his eyes? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with the sword and took his wife to be your own. You killed him with the sword of the Ammonites.
Stop. So he's done all these different things, and now look what Nathan's going to tell him.
Now therefore the sword will never depart from your house.
Now what?
The sword will never depart from your house.
Now what?
The sword will never depart from your house.
Go ahead.
Because you despised me and took the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your own. This is what the Lord says. Out of your own household I am going to bring calamity upon you. Before your very eyes I will take your wives and give them to one who is close to you. And he will lie with your wives in broad daylight. You did it in secret, but I will do this thing in a broad daylight before all of Israel.
Stop right there. So the Most High is saying, you did it in secret. You did it. You thought you was going to be able to conceal it. But I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to bring it into fruition. I'm going to show them. I'm going to show the people exactly how I can humiliate you just as much as I can raise you up. He didn't even tell them who it was that was close to him, but we're going to find that out as we go on. Those that know the story, bear with it. But for the most part, we're going to find out who's going to lie with his wives. Go ahead. Hold on.
Then David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied, the Lord has taken away your sin. You are not going to die.
Okay, so the Ahiah is giving him grace at this point. But go ahead.
But because by doing this, you have made the enemies of the Lord show utter content. The son born to you will die. Wow.
So there's going to be a life for a life. Go ahead. So Ahiah is still dealing with this thing. He just didn't deal with him like how David probably thought he should have dealt with it, according to his own judgment about the analogy that Nathan the prophet had told him. But go ahead.
After
15.
Nathan had gone home, the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife had born to David, and he became ill.
Okay.
David pleaded with God for the child. He fasted and went into his house and spent the nights lying on the ground. The elders of his household stood beside him to get him up from the ground, but he refused.
Okay.
And he would not eat any food with them.
Okay, so you can imagine this, his child that he he fell in love with, Bathsheba, and now the child is has passed away, and he's in a state of mourning, I don't know how it feels to lose a child, but I know they got to be a hard thing, and especially this way, to have to deal with it in this way, But other than that, I know it got to be a real hard thing. But go ahead.
On the 7th day, the child died. David's servants were afraid to tell him that the child was dead, for they thought, while the child was still living, we spoke to David, but he would not listen to us. How can we tell him that his child is dead? He may do something desperate. David noticed that his servants were whispering among themselves, and he realized that the child was dead. Is the child dead? He asked. Yes, they replied, he is dead. Then David got up from the ground. After he had washed, put his lotions, and changed his clothes, he went into the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he went to his own house, and at his request they served him food, and he ate.
Okay, go ahead.
His servant asked him, why are you acting this way? While the child was alive, you fasted and wept, but now that the child is dead, you get up and eat. He answered, while the child was still alive, I fasted and wept. I thought, who knows? The Lord may be gracious to me and let the child live.
So he wanted grace from the Lord, even though he didn't give Uriah none. He wanted grace. But he didn't. But the Most High had to deal with it, because when you take a life, he has to take a life back. Go ahead.
But now that he is dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I will go to him, but he will not return to me. Then David comforted his wife Bathsheba. And he went to her and lay with her. She gave birth to a son. They named him Solomon. The Lord loved him, and because the Lord loved him, he sent word through Nathan the prophet to name him Jedediah.
Okay, and Jedediah means beloved of Ahiah. Go ahead.
Benaiah, son of Jehoiada.
Hold on 1 second. Now we're checking on David's kids, just to give you an idea of what's going on. We're going into 2 Samuel, the 8th chapter, the 18th verse. And we're going to check on and see what some of David's kids are doing. Go ahead.
Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was over the Kerethites and the Pelethites. And David's sons were royal advisors.
Advisors.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so we see right here that it's not saying, it's not disclosing how many sons, but it's saying right here that David's sons were royal advisors. We see some of them being royal advisors. Let's see what's happening with Amnon and Tamar. So go to 2 Samuel 13:1. Right now we're just checking on David's kids. We're trying to see now what David's kids are doing. We saw what David did. We saw how he brought judgment in his house, and how the sword is going to be in the house now because of it. So because of that, we know that the sword is in the house. We know that things are going to start happening. So let's see what's happening with Amnon and Tamar. Go ahead.
In the course of time, Amnon, son of David, fell in love with Tamar.
That's his sister. Go ahead.
The beautiful sister of Absalom, son of David. Amnon became frustrated to the point of illness on account of his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and it seemed impossible for him to do anything with her.
Okay.
Now Amnon had a friend named Jonadab, son of Shemiah, David's brother.
So that's his cousin. Go ahead.
Jonadab was a very shrewd man. He asked Amnon, why do you, the king's son, look so haggard morning after morning? Won't you tell me? Amnon said, I'm in love with Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister.
Okay, so the reason why I keep saying the brother Absalom's sister is because apparently they had the same mother, so they counted it as a full, you know how it is, half and fools and so forth. So this is the full sister of Absalom. Go ahead.
Go to bed and pretend to be ill, Jonadab said. When your father
comes, his cousin is telling him how to scheme. Go ahead.
When your father comes to you, say to him, I would like my sister Tamar to come and give me something to eat. Let her prepare the food in my sight so I may watch her, and then eat it from her hand. So Amnon lay down and pretended to be ill. When the king came down to see him, Amnon said to him, I would like my sister Tamar to come and make something special. To make some special bread in my sight, so I may eat from her hand.
Okay, go ahead.
David sent word to Tamar at the palace, "Go to the house of your brother Amnon and prepare some food for him."
Okay. So David is saying, since they requested this to David, David's saying, go ahead and do this. Go ahead.
So Tamar went to the house of her brother Amnon, who was laying down. She took some dough, kneaded it, made the bread in his sight, and baked it.
Okay.
Then she took the pan and served him the bread.
Okay.
But he refused to eat. "Send everyone out of here," Amnon said. So everyone left him.
Okay, so he's scheming. We know that. We know how brothers do. You know, when we was out in the world doing what we was doing or whatever, and some even now, even in the conscience, they scheming. You know, so that's why it's important to bring this out, because we know a lot of brothers are scheming right now. We already know that. So go ahead.
Then Amnon said to Tamar, "Bring the food here in my bedroom so that I may eat it from your hand." And Tamar took the bread she had prepared and brought it to her brother Amnon in his bedroom.
Okay.
But when she took it to him to eat, he grabbed her and said, "Come to bed with me, my sister." "Don't, my brother," she said to him. "Don't force me. Such a thing should not be done in Israel." So
she's saying, you know, this is wicked, you know. We way out of law, you know. So she was so this was a daughter of David who was saying that, you know, this thing is out of law, you know. Go ahead.
"Don't do this wicked thing."
Right. Don't rape me. Go ahead.
"What about me? Where could I get rid of my disgrace?"
Right.
"What about you? You would be like one of his wicked fools in Israel. Please speak to the king. He will not keep me from being married to you."
Okay. So she's saying, speak to the king, you know. He won't keep us from being married. Go ahead.
But he refused to listen to her.
Right. Because he wanted to do the wicked stuff. Go ahead.
And since he was stronger than she, he raped her.
Okay, stop right there. You know, there's a lot of different ways we can rape our sisters. You know, it doesn't have to be a physical rape. It could be a lot of ways we can strong arm our sisters if we're not careful. You know, so we have to be real careful with this, because once again, David's children are manifesting this day. You know, we can see the attributes of these particular individuals, and they're not raping them just one way. They're raping them all kinds of different ways. Taking things from the sister, taking honor from the sister, taking anything. That's a form of rape. You can look at it how you want to look at it, but that's a form of rape when you take something from somebody forcefully. You know, especially our sisters or our brothers. Go ahead.
Then Amnon hated her with intense hatred. In fact, he hated her more than he loved her. Then Amnon said to her, "Get up and get out." "No," she said to him. Sending me away will be a greater wrong than what you have already done to me."
Right. So now he want to kick her out the house. Y'all brothers know what time it is. Y'all know what y'all do. You know, when y'all was in that wickedness stuff, and those are still in the wickedness. Y'all know how y'all can use a person and take a person and get everything you can from them and then throw them to the side like they ain't nothing. Y'all know exactly how y'all can do that, because y'all very good at it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying the ones that's wicked. I'm not saying all brothers, but the ones that wicked, y'all know exactly how to do this. So you can relate to this. This is nothing that you can't relate to. Go ahead.
"No," she said to him. "Sending me away will be a greater wrong than doing what you already done to me."
Right. So he just want to kick her out now. Go ahead.
But he refused to listen to her.
Right.
He called his personal servant and said, "Get this woman out of here.
Get this woman out of here. Not my sister." Go ahead.
And bolt the door after her.
Scandalous. Go
So
ahead.
his servant put her out and bolted the door after her. She was wearing a richly ornamented robe.
Right.
For this was the kind of garment the virgin daughters of the king wore.
Okay.
Tamar put ashes on her head and tore the ornament robe she was wearing.
Because she knew it was a disgrace. She knew that she could no longer wear that in dignity. Go ahead.
She put her hand on her head and went away, weeping aloud as she went. Her brother Absalom said to her,
"Okay, so her brother now is seeing what's going on. Go ahead."
"Has that Amnon, your brother, been with you?" "Be quiet now, my sister. He is your brother."
Okay. Now, how did he know this? You know, obviously because of how she tore her clothes and so forth. You know, he knew from the way the clothes were looking that something had to happen. So because this was our customs. So he knew, you know, just like people knew what sins you committed, you know, when you brought certain entourage of animals to be sacrificed. They said, okay, I guess you did such and such, because I see you over there with a lamb. Okay, I see you over there with a dove and a sheep, so I know you must have did something, you know. So, you know, people knew, you know, with the Most High, he's very transparent. So, you know, you can't hide anything from him. So he sees that his sister is looking crazy and not looking the same sister that he knew before she actually went into Amnon's house. Go ahead.
"Don't take this thing to heart." And Tamar lived in her brother Absalom's house, a desolate woman.
Okay. When
King David heard all of this, he was furious. Absalom never said a word to Amnon, either good or bad. He hated Amnon because he disgraced her. He disgraced his sister Tamar.
Right. So, self-explanatory. You did my sister wrong, So, he had hatred for him. He probably felt like he needed to get dealt with. So let's see exactly what happens when Absalom come to a realization that he want to do something to Amnon. Go ahead.
2 years later, when Absalom's sheep shearers were at Bazar Hazars near the border of Ephraim, he invited all of the king's sons to come there.
Okay. He invited all the king's sons. Okay, this is Absalom, and he's inviting all the king's sons. Go ahead.
Absalom went to the king and said, "Your servants has had shearers come. Will the king and his officials please join me?" "No, my son," the king replied. "All of us should not go. We will only be a burden to you." Although Absalom urged him, he still refused to go, but gave him his blessing.
Okay.
Then Absalom said, "If not, please let my brother Amnon come with us." The king asked him, "Why should he go with you?" But Absalom urged him, so he sent with him Amnon and the rest of the king's sons.
Okay.
Absalom ordered his men, "Listen, when Amnon is in high spirits from drinking wine, and I say to you, strike Amnon down, then kill him.
Okay.
Don't be afraid. Have not I given you this order? Be strong and brave."
So stop right there. I just want to say that that this is what you're dealing with when you rape and pillage and all these different things. It brings other spirits, to have to deal with as well. So now Absalom is thinking, hey, you know what? Little time don't went past. I'm gonna go ahead and kill my brother. He out of pocket anyway for what he did to my sister. So I'm gonna go ahead and take care of this. So this is what's going on. He's plotting his murder.
While he's drunk.
While he's drunk. Exactly. Go ahead.
So Absalom's men did to Amnon what Absalom had ordered. Then all of King's sons got up, mounted their mules, and fled.
Right. Go ahead.
While they were on their way, the report came to David. Absalom had struck down all the king's sons. Not one of them is left. The king stood up, tore his clothes, and lay down on the ground. All of his servants stood by with their clothes torn.
Okay.
But Jonadab, son of Shemiah, David's brother, the Lord should not think that they killed all of the princes. Only Amnon is dead.
Okay.
This has been Absalom's expressed intention ever since the day Amnon raped his sister Tamar.
Okay, hold on for a minute. I'm getting a message here. I want to make sure everything's all right here with sound and everything. So, okay, I'm good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop you there. I just want to make sure.
My lord the king should not be concerned about the report that all the king's sons are dead. Only Amnon is dead.
Okay, so he's letting them know only Amnon is dead, because that was some hard information that, he was getting. He was saying, he was trying to figure out, all my sons dead, what's going on? So go ahead.
Meanwhile, Absalom has fled. Now the man standing watch looked up and saw many people on the road west of him, coming down the side of the hill. The watchman went and told the king, "I see men in direction of Horonaim, I'm sorry, on the side of the hill." Jonadab said to the king, "See, the king's sons are here. It just happened just as your servant said."
So he's letting them know your sons are here. So it's a difference now because he knows that not all his sons are dead. Go ahead.
As he finished speaking, the king's son came in wailing loudly.
Stop right there. So the king's sons are coming in wailing loudly because they coming in. They probably can't even talk. They don't seen one brother kill another brother. And even though in his mind it may be justified, it's a horrific thing. That happened right in front of the other sons. So they come in wailing. So now, as you see, the king is going to wail too. But at least he knows that the rest of his sons are still there. He didn't want to lose all his sons. I'm pretty sure. So he's seeing that David is wailing. That the children are wailing. Go ahead.
As he finished speaking, the sons came in wailing loudly. The king too, and all his servants wept very bitterly. Absalom fled and went to Talmai, son of Almahud, the king of Geshur. But King David mourned for his son every day. After Absalom fled and went to Geshur, he stayed there 3 years. And the spirit of the king longed to go to Absalom, for he was consoled concerning Amnon's death.
Okay, so at that particular time, he was consoled concerning Amnon's death. So he wanted to see his son again. Here it is. You lose one son, you don't want to lose two. And unfortunately, he's lost too, because Absalom is gone. He's on his own. They don't tell him what may happen. They got plenty of enemies. Israel keep enemies. We know that. So this is a situation where his son is gone now, and he's thinking like, man, anything can happen to my son. He's longing for him and so forth. And even though his son may have did a horrific thing, in the kingdom, I'm pretty sure, he's trying to figure out a way how he can help his son, even through all that. And then we go through the same thing these days. Our sons and our children, our families and stuff, they do different things. And even in they wrong, we try to figure out how to help them, how to bring them back, and we look at them like a prodigal son, and we pray and fast and all these different things we can do, and whatever we can do to help, to try to motivate them, to try to get them back on track again. Go ahead. We're going to go to 2 Samuel now, the 14th chapter. Sorry about I'm skipping all this, but I'm skipping this for a reason. It's a lot of information. But some of the pertinent information I think that I'm trying to hit home on. So let's go with Absalom returning to Jerusalem, the 14th chapter.
Now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. And Joab sent to Tokiah, and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but as a woman that had a long time mourning for the dead.
Go ahead.
And come to the king, and speak of this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman Tokiah spake unto the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and did obeisance, and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widowed woman, and my husband is dead. And thy handmaid had 2 sons, and they two strove together in the field, and they were none to part them. But the one smote the other, and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thy handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother whom he slew, and we will destroy the hair also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tokiah said unto the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his thrones be guiltless. And the king said, Whoever saith out unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. Then said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not be one hair of thy son fall on the earth.
Okay, keep going.
Then the woman said, Let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, Say on. And the woman said, Wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, in that the king doeth not fetch home again his banished. For we must needs die, and are as water spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person, yet does he devise means that his banish be not expelled from him. Now therefore that I am come to speak of this thing until my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And thy handmaid said, I will not speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of the handmaid. For the king will hear and deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that will destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. Then thy handmaid said, The word of my lord the king shall not be comfortable. For as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, Hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, Let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, Is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? And the woman answered and said, As I so liveth, my lord the king, none can turn to the right or to the left from aught that my lord the king has spoken from thy servant Joab. He bade me, and he put all of these words of my mouth from thy handmaid. To fetch about this form of speech hath thy servant Joab done this thing. And my Lord is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth.
So even though this woman was talking about something, he knew that this woman wasn't speaking her own words, that she was speaking something that was very familiar with him. Let me tell you something about somebody who can really see things. Okay? When I'm dealing with somebody and I'm listening to them speak, I listen to their tone. I listen to the words they choose, the articulation, the volume of their voice, the vibrations in their voice. I'm listening for all that. Why am I doing that? Because I'm trying to see exactly where you're coming from. You know, and see with this, David was able to see right through that and say, isn't this Joab? Because he already knew it wasn't her words. You know, so I just want to bring that out because some people think they so slick they can shuck and jive and do different things. But let me tell you something. Real people that can see, they see stuff like that, and they know exactly what they're dealing with. Go ahead.
And the king said unto Joab, Behold now, I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king. And Joab said, Today thy king knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, my lord, O king, in that the king hath fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, Let him turn to his house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face.
Okay, so at that particular time, so David don't even want to see his face at this time. It's a reason for this. You know, real kings know exactly why. I'm not going to even bring that out. I'm going to let you be a king and figure it out. But go ahead.
But in all Israel, there was none to be such praise as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him.
Go ahead.
And when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it, because the hair was heavy on him. Therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight.
Okay, hold on. So now it's talking about the beauty of Absalom, you know, how he looked and, you know, how he was a handsome brother or whatever, you know. But, you know, just right here, I just want to say, ooh, I done went too far up real quick. Hold on. This thing be just moving. Okay. So, you know, it's talking about the beauty of Absalom and so forth. So what I want to say is, what I want to bring out is, I'm not going to do that to y'all, brothers. I'm going to tell you exactly why, because I said I wasn't going to say nothing to the kings. But I'm going to say this like this. The reason why he didn't want to see his face, I'm going to tell you why. Is because when you build up a certain there's a certain build up that has to happen between you when men are dealing with men, you know. So he wanted him to think about what could happen. That's what he wanted him to think. So he put him to the side, and the longer you wait, the more you think like, wow, because it's the fear of not knowing. You don't know what's about to happen. You're dealing with your dad. You already know how your father is. You already know how you get down, you know. So this was a situation where he had made him wait it out so he could see exactly what was going on. Because, you know, when that happens, then judgment is going in your mind, and you're trying to think, which way do I go? Which way? So at this particular time, believe me, David is being very strategic, and he's making them think. Go ahead.
But in all Israel, there was none to be much praise as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his feet, even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish on him. Okay. And another thing, you know, people tend to gravitate to people that's very handsome, you know, or beautiful. And they'll listen to that person just because of their beauty. Kind of stupid, but people do it, you know. And Absalom, he was charismatic. He knew how to deal with the people. So, you know, you have to understand the shaky moves that David's children do. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to show you something here. I'm trying to show you that today we're dealing with the same thing. Same spirit, you know, and people get real shaky, and how they do things, they do it in such a way where they think they're being slick with it, you know, and they're being charismatic to this person and charismatic to that person. But guess what? The Most High always shows up and show them who they really are. He always exposes them, because what's done in the dark is going to come to the light. Go ahead. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. Okay. She was a woman of fair countenance.
Okay, so he's having children. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Relaxed. Go ahead.
So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. Therefore Absalom went into Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him, and when he sent again the second time, he would not come.
Okay.
Therefore he said unto his servants, See, Joab's field is near mine, and he have barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom into his house and said it to him, Wherefore have thy servants set my field on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I have sent it to thee, saying, Come hither, that I may send thee to the king, to say, Wherefore am I come to Geshur?
Okay.
And it hath been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me.
Okay. Go ahead.
So Joab came to the king and told him when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom.
Okay, so now the king is seeing Absalom, and he kissed him. Go ahead. Then we're going to 2 Samuel, the 15th chapter. We're going to see what kind of conspiracy and thing that Absalom is trying to stir up now.
And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment.
Okay.
Then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy servant is of one of the tribes of Israel.
Okay.
And Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. Absalom said, Moreover, Oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice.
Go ahead.
It was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obeisance, to put forth his hand, and took him and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. And Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel.
Charismatic, like I said, he knew how to deal with the people, and don't get me wrong, you are supposed to be that way with the people, but he had ulterior motives. So that's the difference, But you are supposed, any good leader is supposed to bend his ears to the cry of all the people, not just some people, but all the people, to make sure that justice is established in the land, because justice is a principle that deals with fairness, whether it be reward or punishment. Straight up. So we dealing with we seeing exactly how Absalom is moving. He's moving in all these little creepy and sneaky little ways because he got something up his sleeve. Go ahead, let's see what he got up his sleeve and let's see what's going to happen to him.
And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. For thy servant vowed a vow, which while I abode in Geshur in Syria, saying, if the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. All
right, let me stop right there. So he done got a conspiracy party going. We know the brothers are charismatic like that, especially if they got some royal blood in them. So he got this conspiracy thing going. He got people clicking with him and all these different things, and he's dividing up and all this different stuff. So let's see what happens when you divide and you try to conquer. Let's see what happens.
And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not of anything. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Galanite, David's counselor, from his city, even with Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually in Absalom.
So he using some of David people too. Go ahead.
Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you which we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in unto my father's concubines, which he has left to keep the house. And all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong.
Okay. So we see what kind of move he's making. He's telling them, hey, go get with your fathers, sleep with your father's concubines. That's going to really be disrespectful. You want to really make a move. This is a chess move right here. Make this move right here. So he putting all this crazy stuff in his ear. So let's just see what happened to all these people. Go ahead.
So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went into his father's concubine in the sight of all Israel. And the counsels of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom.
Okay, so now we're gonna see we see what's about to be handed down, the judgment of Ahiah, and how it's gonna be handed down to Absalom. Go ahead and read the second. I can't even see it. Hold on.
2 Samuel 17, verse 24.
Give me
then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over Jordan.
Okay.
He and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab.
Right.
Which Amasa was a man's son, whose name was Ithra, an Israelite, that went into Gabadel, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. So Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead.
Okay. And
it came to pass when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobi, the son of Nahash, of Rabbath, of the children of Ammon, and Mashir, the son of Amiel, of Lodobar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Rogelim, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentils and parched pulse, and honey and butter and sheep, cheese of kine for David, and for the people that were with him to eat.
Okay.
For they said the people was hungry, weary, and thirsty in the wilderness.
Okay, so David is in the wilderness, and we know at this particular time, these people are bringing all these different things that he need. So that's we go to 2 Samuel the 18th chapter. Hold on.
And David numbered the people that were with him, and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and the third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and the third part under the hand of Ittai. Okay,
so he's putting some strategy together. He said, "You want to play chess? We're gonna play chess. Go ahead." And he's gonna get rid of all these disloyal people, because he had. Okay, we see thousands of people. So Jerusalem is divided at this point. People are actually following Absalom. In this wickedness. But go ahead. Let's see what happened. Let's see who prevailed. Go ahead.
And the king said unto the people, "I will surely go forth with you myself also." But the people answered, "Thou shalt not go forth. For if we flee away, they will not care for us. Neither if half of us die, they will care for us. But now thou art worth 10,000 of us. Therefore now it is better that thou succor us out of the city."
Okay.
And the king said unto him, "What seemeth you best I will do." And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, "Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom." And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom.
Okay, stop. So even through all this that's going on, he still have a love for his son. He see that his son is going the wrong way, but he's saying, deal gentle with him. So he's still showing Ahiah's attributes. This is a real king. That's what a real king do. He don't start trouble and do all this kind of stuff and click off and do all this different stuff. A real king will make sure that there's peace in the land, period. And whatever he got to do to get that peace and bring that peace about, he will do it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said justice is a principle that deals in fairness, whether it be a reward or a punishment. It don't really matter. You know what I'm saying? That depends on the individual. So we're going to see what King David does here, with the spirit of Ahiah on him. Go ahead.
So the people went out into the field against Israel.
Okay.
And the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David. And there was a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men.
Go ahead.
The battle was there scattered over the face of the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. Wow. And Absalom met the servants of David.
So the forest swallowed up more men in that day than their own sword. So we know the hand of Ahiah is on them, because we see that Ahiah is letting nature deal with him as well. Go ahead.
And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. And a certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in the oak. And Joab sent it to the man that told him, and behold, thou sawest him, and why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? And I will have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle.
Go ahead.
And the man said unto Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son.
Stop right there. It's important to understand that these are the visionaries that I was telling you about earlier. When the king has a certain vision and how he spoke, "Be gentle with my son," you see that they're actually taking heed to that. The guy is saying, I can't do that. That's still the king's son. So there's a sense of remorse, there's a sense of dignity and loyalty that he has toward King David because of what King David has said. The same thing that how David was loyal to Saul. Same thing, same spirit. It's important to see that, because you're going to have these people on. That's why Moses said, y'all get on this side that's not with the most higher, and those that's on the higher side get on this side. And we're going, okay, now go ahead and kill them. Straight up. Don't think it ain't going to happen now. Because believe me, trust me, believe me, Ahiah gonna do it exactly like that. Believe me. So gird up. So go ahead.
Yet will I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in all hearings the king charged thee and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against my own life.
Go ahead.
For there is no matter hid from the king, and thou thyself wouldest have set thyself against me.
Okay, so what he's saying is that there's no matter that's hidden from the king. In other words, he's so connected to Ahiah that Ahiah is going to tell him exactly what's going on anyway. You know, he don't even have to be in the land. He don't even have to be in certain places or whatever. Ahiah is going to deal with him and give him the understanding of what's going on no matter where he is. You know what I'm saying? So this person knows that he can't hide. This person's a very intelligent person in Ahiah, because he realizes that he can't hide from him. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him.
Okay. Now Joab is a little different. He's a man of war for real. I mean, he's the kind of person, he gonna deal with it. You know, to him, Absalom is just a problem. So we gotta get rid of the problem. That's how he's looking at it. So the Most High used him too. But let's go ahead and figure this out. Go ahead.
And Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood. And laid a very great heap of stones upon him. Okay. And all Israel fled, every one to his tent.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Now Absalom in his life had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale, for he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it was called unto the day Absalom's place.
Okay. So he gave him a monument, you know, for this particular place. So we see what happens to Absalom in the end. Absalom get dealt with, you know, according to justice, you know, which is a principle that deals in fairness, whether it be reward or punishment. So we see this happening to him. Let's go to 1 Kings and the first chapter of 1 Kings, and let's see what's happening with Adonijah, you know, and how he sets himself up to try to be king. You know, these are David kids. Let's look at David kids. Let's see what's going on. Go ahead. This is important.
Now King David was old and stricken in years, and they covered him with clothes, and he gat no heat. Wherefore his servants said unto him, Let there be sought for my lord the king a young virgin, and let her stand before the king, and let her cherish him, and let her lie in thy bosom.
Okay, hold on. So David is very old at this point, you know, but we know one thing about David: he loved women. So they done took a young woman and put him in you know, I guess they want to make sure he's still kicking. Still here, so they put a young woman, you know, in his arms or whatever, and now he's back alive again. Go ahead.
and let her lie in thy bosom, that my lord the king may get heat.
Okay.
So they sought for a fair damsel throughout all the coast of Israel, and found Abishag, a Shunammite.
Okay.
And brought her to the king.
Very important person. Hold on to her. Go ahead.
And the damsel was very fair, and cherished the king, and ministered to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the king knew her not. Then
knew her not. In other words, he didn't have any sexual relationship with her. Go ahead.
Then Adonijah,
Adonijah,
the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him.
So there's another conspiracy. Another one picks up right off where the other one left off. You would think they would know, But, okay, let's see what happens with Adonijah then.
And his father had not displeased him at any time in saying, Why hast thou done so? And he also was a very goodly man. Okay. And his mother bare him after Absalom.
Okay.
After he conferred with Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and with Abiathar, the priest, and Adonijah helped him. And Zadok, the priest, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and Nathan the prophet, and Shimei, and Rei, and the mighty men which belonged to David, were not with Adonijah.
Okay, right. So those people didn't join up with him. Go ahead.
And Adonijah slew sheep and oxen and fat cattle by the stone of Zoheleth.
Okay.
Which is by in Rogel.
Okay.
And called all his brethren the king's son, and all the men of Judah the king's servant. But Nathan the prophet, Benaiah, and the mighty men, and Solomon his brother, he called not.
Okay. So he called all those people, David's sons, But the one person that he didn't call was Solomon. Could he have known in his spirit that Solomon was supposed to take the reign? Or whatever it may be. But look how he did it, though. So diabolical. And didn't bring the prophet either. Totally out of order. He done called for this different thing, got his brothers together. In other words, he's buying his brothers. That's what he's doing. And the Most High is showing him for who he really is. Go ahead. Let's see what this happens to this fool.
But Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah, and the mighty men, and Solomon his brother, he called not.
Okay.
Wherefore Nathan spake unto Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, saying, Hast thou not heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, doth reign, and David our Lord knoweth it not? Now therefore come, let me, I pray thee, give thee counsel, that thou mayest save thy own life and the life of thy son Solomon.
Go ahead.
Go and get thee in unto King David, and say unto him, Didst not thou my lord, O king, swear unto thy handmaid, saying, Assuredly, Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. When then doth Adonijah reign? When then doth Adonijah reign? I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Behold, while thou yet talkest there with the king, I will also come in after thee, and confirm my words. And Bathsheba went in into the chamber, and the king was very old, and Abishag the Shunammite ministered unto the king, and Bathsheba bowed and did obeisance unto the king, and the king.
In other words, she bowed before him. Go ahead.
And the king said, What wouldest thou? And she said unto him, My lord, thou swearest by the Lord thy God unto thy handmaid, saying, Assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne. And now, behold, Adonijah reigneth, and now, my lord king, thou knowest it not. And he has slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and hath called all the sons of the king, and Abiathar the priest, and Joab the captain of the host. But Solomon thy servant have he not called.
So he done threw a party. You know what I'm saying? It sound like George Bush. He done threw a party already. He already know he done won. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And thou, my lord, O king, the eyes of all Israel are upon thee, that thou shouldst tell them who shall sit on the throne of my lord the king after him. Otherwise it shall come to pass, when my lord the king shall sleep with his fathers. Did I say that right? That I and my son Solomon shall be counted offenders. Okay. And lo,
treated as criminals, in other words. Go ahead.
And lo, while she yet talked with the king, Nathan the prophet also came in.
Okay, so now the prophet is on deck. Go ahead.
And they told the king, saying, Behold, Nathan the prophet, and when he was And he was come in before the king. He bowed himself before the king with his face to the ground.
Okay, because the prophet respect the king, King David. Go ahead.
And Nathan said, My lord, O king, hast thou said Adonijah shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne? For he is gone down this day, and hath slain oxen and fat cattle and sheep in abundance, and have called all of the kings.
So now he's getting another word from another person. So it's confirming that this guy is having a party. He just knows it's gonna happen. But he's done this thing. So Nathan the prophet is probably wondering, why didn't he invite me, and why didn't you tell me? Go ahead.
Have called all the king's son and the captains of the host and Abiathar the priest, and behold, they drink, they eat before him, and say, God save King Adonijah. But me, even thy servant, and Zadok the priest, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and thy servant Solomon hath he not called?
Okay.
Is this thing done by the Lord the king, and thou hast not shewed it into thy servant, who will sit on the throne of my Lord the king after him?
Right. So he's saying once again, you did this and you didn't even tell me about it. What's going on? Is this what's going on? Is this the decision that you made? So let's see what happens with David and his sons, and which one he decides to that he feel like the Most High is telling him to choose. Go ahead.
Then King David answered and said, Call me Bathsheba, and she came into the king's presence and stood before the king. Okay. And the king sware and said, As the Lord liveth, that hath redeemed my soul out of all distress, even as I swore unto thee by the Lord God of Israel, saying, Assuredly, Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne in my stead. Even so will I certainly do this day. Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth and did reverence to the king, and said, Let my lord King David live forever.
Okay, go ahead.
And the king David said, Call me Zadok the priest, and Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada.
Okay, in other words, call these witnesses in. Go ahead.
And they came before the king.
They finna do it the right way. Go ahead.
The king also said unto them, Take with you the servants of my lord, and call Solomon my son to ride upon my own mule, and bring him down to Gihon. And let Zadok the priest and Nathan anoint him their king over Israel, and blow ye with the trumpet and say,
Stop right there. That's a very, very important part. I'm sorry. I just want to say that the anointing has to happen, and now the prophet is going to anoint them the way it's supposed to be done. See, you don't see nothing in there about Adonijah trying to get anointed or any of that. He didn't even want Nathan the prophet to be there. You know what I'm saying? So he's totally out of order. Totally out of order. Let's see what's going to happen. Go ahead.
And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him the king over Israel, and blow you with the trumpet and say, God save King Solomon. Then,
go ahead.
Then ye shall come up after him, and that he may come and sit upon my throne, for he shall be king in my stead, and I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and over Judah.
Okay, go ahead.
And Benaiah son of Jehoiada answered the king and said, Amen. The Lord God of my Lord the king say so too. And the Lord have been with my Lord the king. Even so be he with Solomon, and make his throne greater than the throne of the Lord King David. So Zadok and Nathan and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada and the Kerethites and the Pelethites went down and called Solomon to ride upon King David's mule, and brought him to Gihon.
Okay.
And Zadok the priest took a horn of oil out of the tabernacle and anointed Solomon. Okay. And they blew the trumpet, and all the people said, God save King Solomon. Okay. And all the people came up after him, and the Lord piped with pipes, and rejoiced with great joy, so that the earth rent with the sound of them.
In other words, it was like a small earthquake. Go ahead.
And Adonijah and all the guests that were with him heard it as they made an end of eating. And when Joab heard the sound of the trumpet, he said, Wherefore is this noise of the city being in an uproar? And while he yet spake, behold, Jonathan the son of Abiathar the priest came, and Adonijah said unto him, Come in, for thou art a valiant man, and bringest good tidings.
Go ahead.
And Jonathan answered and said to Adonijah, Verily, our Lord King David have made Solomon king.
So now he's getting the word that his father has raised up, and given Solomon the kingdom. We know at that particular time David was sick, he was getting older, but he rose up. So now he's risen up, and this thing is not going to happen exactly like he thought it was going to happen. Now watch this though. Watch how the Most High do this. Go ahead.
And the king hath sent him Zadok and Nathan and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada and the son of Corithias and the Pelethites. And they have caused him to ride upon the king's mule. And Zadok the priest and Nathan have anointed him the king of Gahan.
Okay.
And they are come up from thence rejoicing, so that the city rang again. This is the noise that ye heard. And also Solomon sitteth upon the throne of the kingdom.
Okay.
And moreover, the king's servant came to bless our Lord King David, saying, God make the name of Solomon better than thy name, and make his throne greater than thy throne. And the king bowed himself upon the bed. And also thus said to the king, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel,
right,
which hath given one to sit on my throne this day.
So he's a successor now. Go ahead of the throne.
My eyes even seeing it, and all the guests that were with Adonijah were afraid, and rose up and went every man his way.
Oh, okay. So wait a minute. What happened to all the bravery and the partying and all that kind of stuff? I guess all that ceased when Ahiah showed up and showed that this man was the one that's supposed to get the kingdom. Go ahead.
And Adonijah feared because of Solomon, and rose and went and caught hold of the horns of the altar.
Oh, he caught hold to the horns of the what?
Of the altar.
Of the what?
Of the altar.
Oh, okay. Now you want to go to the altar. Okay, go ahead.
And it was told Solomon, saying, Behold, Adonijah feareth King Solomon. For lo, he hath caught hold of the horns of the altar. Said, Let King Solomon swear unto me today that he will not slay his servant with the sword. And Solomon said, If he will shew himself a worthy man, there shall not be an hair of him fall to the earth. So
Solomon is giving him some grace. He's moving just like his father already. Just starting to reign and already making a king's decision. You know what I'm saying? Saying, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and give him some grace because I know he was just a little whatever. He my brother, this, that, and the other. Go ahead. Let's see what happens though.
But go ahead. If wickedness shall be found in him, he shall die.
He shall what?
He shall die.
If wickedness
shall be found in him, he shall die.
Okay, now let's tell it.
So King Solomon sent, and they brought him down from the altar.
Okay.
And he came and bowed himself to the King Solomon. And Solomon said unto him, Go into thine house.
In other words, go home. Straight up. Go home. That's what he told him. He told him, the word said right there. He told him, go home. Okay. Because he knew that he was dealing with a deceiver. But he showed him grace and told him, go on home. All that partying you did and all that kind of stuff came to nothing. You wasted cattle. We could have did something else with that. Go ahead. What happens?
And Adonijah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon, and she said, Comest thou peaceably? And he said, Peaceably. He said, Moreover, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And she said, Say on.
So Adonijah wants to talk to Bathsheba, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And he said, Thou knowest that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me.
Now look at him already. You know that the kingdom was mine. You know what I'm saying? So he's trying to compromise. Here he's trying to compromise. He's trying to get in however he can. This is what he do. He's snaky. That's what they do. These are David kids now. Come look at this. You need to really get a drawing on this because we dealing with David kids today. So go ahead. What happens?
Okay. And he said, Thou knowest that the kingdom was mine, and that all Israel set their faces on me, that I shall reign. Howbeit the kingdom is turned about, and is come to my brothers, for it was his from the Lord.
So my question is this: why didn't he just stay home? Solomon told him to go home, but he wanted to come back with something slick, and he used Solomon's mother to do it. Come on, let's show these people up. What happened?
And now I ask one petition of thee, deny me not. And she said, unto him, Say on. And he said, Speak, I pray thee, unto Solomon the king, for he will not say thee nay. That he give me Abishag that he gave Abishag the wife. To the wife.
Right. So he wants the young lady who was with David. Remember I told you. Remember that he wants that particular woman to be his wife. David, because it's real diabolical now, because that's one of David handmaidens, you know. So he wants that particular one to be his wife. Look how sneaky this is. Go ahead.
And Bathsheba said, "Well, I will speak for thee unto the king." Bathsheba therefore went unto King Solomon to speak.
Now hold on. Now, you know, I've always wondered, why did she even go in there and tell him this? But obviously she didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? But men can see stuff like this because we've made these kind of moves before. So it's a difference. Go ahead and let's see what Solomon say. We know she didn't see it, but let's see what Solomon saw. Go ahead.
Bathsheba therefore went to King Solomon to speak unto him for Adonijah. And the king rose up to meet her and bowed himself to her and sat down on his throne and caused a seat to be set for the king's mother. And she sat on the right hand. Then she said, I desire one small petition of thee. I pray thee, say me not nay. And the king said unto her, ask on, my mother, for I will not say thee nay. And she said, let Abishag the Shumanite be given unto Adonijah thy brother to wife. And King Solomon answered and said to his mother, and why dost thou ask Abishag the Shumanite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also. Right. He is my elder brother.
So he's an elder brother. So he's saying, why are you asking for, in other words, he's saying, why is you asking for David's handmaiden? You know, I might as well just give him the kingdom too, because the mother didn't see it. But he saw. Go ahead. What happens? Where you at? 20 what?
22.
22. Go ahead.
Okay. And King Solomon answered and said to his mother, why dost thou ask Abishag the Shemanite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also, for he is my elder brother, even for him and for Abiathar the priest, and for Joab the son of Zeruiah. Then King Solomon swore by the Lord, saying, God, do so to me, and more also, if Adonijah have not spoken this word against his own life. Now therefore, as the Lord liveth, which hath established me, and set me on the throne of David my father, and who have made me an house, and as he promised, Adonijah shall be put to death this day.
Shall be what?
Put to death this day.
He already warned him in the beginning, so he's saying what now?
Adonijah shall be put to death this day.
Okay.
And King Solomon sent by the hand of Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and he fell upon him that he died.
Go ahead.
And
26.
And to Abiathar, the priest of the king, give thee the Anathoth.
Okay.
Unto thy own fields, for thou art worthy of death. But I will not at this point put thee to death, because thou bearest the ark of the Lord God before David my father, and because thou have not afflicted in all wherein my father was afflicted. So Solomon thrust out Abiathar from being priest until the Lord.
He removed him. Go ahead.
That he may fulfill the word of the Lord which he spake concerning the house of Eli and Shiloh.
Go ahead.
Then tidings came to Joab, for Joab had turned after Adonijah, though he turned not after Absalom. And Joab fled unto the tabernacle of the Lord and caught hold of the horns of the altar. Okay,
so not Joab is running. You know, I mean, this thing is deep. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, anytime you can convince Joab to even be this loyal in this. But go ahead. What happens?
Okay.
29.
Okay. And it was told King Solomon that Joab had fled into the tabernacle of the Lord, and behold, he is by the altar. Then Solomon said Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, saying, go fall upon him. And Benaiah came to the tabernacle of the Lord and said unto him, thus saith the king, come forth. And he said, nay, but I will die here. And Benaiah brought.
Hold on, I just want to say, so Joab want to go by. He want to go out on his own terms, but he going out. But you know that. Go ahead.
Okay, said to the king, come forth. And he said, nay, but I will die here.
Right.
And Benaiah brought the king word again, saying, thus said Joab, and thus he answered me. Okay. And the king said unto him, do as he hath said, and fall upon him and bury him.
Right. In other words, kill him. Go ahead.
That thou mayest take away the innocent blood which Joab shed from me, from the house of my father. And the Lord shall return his blood upon his own head, who fell upon 2 men more righteously and better than he, and slew them with the sword. My father David, not knowing thereof, to wit, Abner the son of Ner, captain of the host of Israel, and Amasa the son of Jether, captain of the host of Judah. Their blood shall therefore return upon the head of Joab, and upon the head of his seed forever. But upon David, and upon his seed, and upon his house, and upon his throne, shall there rise peace forever from the Lord.
Okay, go ahead.
So Benaiah the son of Jehoiada went and fell upon him, and slew him. And he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. And the king put Benaiah the son of Jehoiada in his room forever, the host. And Zadok the priest did not put in the room of Abiathar. And the king sent and called for Shimei, and said unto him, Build thee a house in Jerusalem, and dwell there, and go not forth thence any whither. For it shall be, that on the day thou goest out, and passest over the brook Kidron, thou shalt know for certain that thou shalt surely die. Thy blood shall be upon thy own head. And Shimei said unto the king, The saying is good, as my lord the king has said. So will thy servant do. And Shimei dwelt in Jerusalem many days.
Okay.
And it came to pass at the end of 3 years that the 2 of the servants of Shimei ran away unto Achish, son of Maacah, king of Gath. And they said Shimei, Hold, saying, Behold, thy servants be in Gath. And Shimei rose and saddled his ass, and went to Gath in Achish to seek his servants. And Shimei went and brought his servants from Gath. And it was told Solomon that Shimei had gone from Jerusalem to Gath and was come again. And the king sent and called for Shimei and said to him, Did I not make thee to swear by the Lord, and protested to thee, saying, Know for certain, on the day thou goest out and walkest abroad any whither, that thou shalt surely die. And thou sayest unto me, The word that I have heard is good. Why then hast thou not kept the oath of the Lord, and the commandments that I have charged with thee with?
So what king do?
The king said moreover to Shimei, Thou knowest all the wickedness which in thy heart is privy to. And thou didst to David, my father. Therefore the Lord shall return my wickedness upon thy own head.
So in other words, it's a Godfather move going on. Basically, Solomon cleaning up stuff that David didn't even clean up. Go ahead.
And King Solomon shall be blessed, and the throne of David shall be established before the Lord forever.
Go ahead.
So the king commanded Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, which went out and fell upon him, that he died. And the kingdom was established in the hand of Solomon.
Okay. So in the end, what happened? All that partying and hanging out and trying to be diabolical and all these different things. But in the end, it all went back to who Hiah wanted it to go to in the first place. So, really people waste their time, and it's just a bunch of wasting time, with this. The bottom line is Hiah is going to put in position who he feel that he wants to be in certain positions, and that's just the way Hiah is going to do it, period. That's how he's going to do it, and whether you like it or not, it don't matter. Fight against Hiah, go ahead, let's see how far that gets you, okay? But basically, that's how it is, and we have to understand these things because we see these things happening in these different camps and these different churches. So I thought today I was going to bring that out, so I brought that out. So it is what it is, and look at these different characters and see which one you fit. And you should be striving toward the one that fit where Hiah has approved you, or where Hiah has placed his spirit over your life in a certain way. So you need to be striving toward that. Whoever you are, let it speak to your heart, and then you know who you are from there. But please know that justice is a principle that deals in fairness now, whether it be reward or punishment. Remember they kept grabbing the horns at the altar? Yeah, remember that. And with that, we just want to bid Israel peace. We love all Israel, and we want to bid you peace, and we want to say the Lord's Prayer, and we're going to go ahead and close out today. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. So be it.
Amen. Shalom.
Shalom. Salute you.